can you please look up this site?
See if we can figure out something.
All right, we're ready to go with our 1030 sentence. People versus Edwin Otto Smith. File number here is 24261ST. Mr. Smith was charged with failing to stop at the scene of a personal injury accident and driving suspended. I believe the matter was on the jury docket. Anyway, it was resolved with the plea.
Your Honor, I don't think you're out recording the red light.
Oh, you're right. Thank you, DJ. Michelle's not here to look out for me. You're supposed to tell me my red light's not on. She's like, I'll start again. This is file number 24261ST, People versus Edwin Otto Smith. Mr. Smith was charged with an incident that occurred on January 17th of 2024 in the city of Three Rivers, leaving the scene of a personal injury accident and driving suspended. The matter was on the jury docket. We had a pretrial. There were a number of other issues. The defendant pled to failing to stop at the scene of a personal injury accident. The matter was set for set for sentencing this morning. Mr. James McWheel was here on behalf of the prosecution at that time. He's not here today. I'm not sure why not. He's being paid handsomely for contract with the prosecutor's office, but he isn't here. No one else is here except the victim witness staff, bless their hearts. Mr. Luke Knopfinger is here with his client, and the complaining witness, Kimberly Van, is also present. She's represented in a separate matter by attorney Timothy Reed, who is also present. This, right from the start, was a difficult case. And it was resolved with this plea. Good morning, Mr. Knopfinger.
Morning.
What would you like me to know?
Just a couple things. I have a couple things to say, and they may appear to be disjointed, Judge. And I speak from my perspective too. And my client wants to address the court. We were aware right from the jump that there was a civil case. The facts, not just alleged, but admitted to at the last hearing occurred in mid-January. Case sort of just picked up as most cases do. Right from the jump, we knew there was a civil case in the background. And so my advice to my client is, well, with the civil case, there can be potential civil liability. We then became aware that that was resolved. So we took the plea agreement as it was. Client made an admission to that. A couple things, Judge, that I would ask the court to consider. And I would inquire whether or not the court received the medical records.
I did. I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but I did review them this morning when I first saw them.
Okay. Well, they were... I sort of licked my lips and sort of it in terms of litigating what was or what wasn't. I'm no doctor either, but I have to say it was sort of one of those issues where I sort of want to litigate those medical records. But I will say that what injury was or wasn't sustained, I don't think is as important as maybe I thought it was. Sometimes I just want to litigate issues. I'll be honest. It's clear to me that Miss Van suffered some pretty significant injuries, and having spoken to her attorney, it's turned her life upside down. She lost her job, and I think it's changed her life. With that too, it also has affected Mr. Smith. He didn't want this to happen. He made several terrible mistakes that night. And so he didn't want this to happen either. He did enter a guilty plea. He did not enter a no contest plea. And I think that's something I'd ask the court to consider. I do want to ask the court to consider how it has affected my client, and I don't want to discount how it has affected Miss Van either. Happy there was a settlement, happy that was resolved, and I'm happy that this case has come to resolution too. So I'd ask the court to consider all of that, and then my client does wish to address the court. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Smith, what would you like to tell me?
I'd just like to apologize to Miss Van for the whole deal. Truly sorry it
Just a
ever
minute.
happened.
Just a minute. I heard a big fuck you. So if you would like to either stay back here or go outside, I can accommodate that. I expect you to be respectful in here. And if I hear it again, you're going to be found in contempt and you're going to go into custody. Do you understand? Do you understand? All right. We're not sitting around the kitchen table. We're at a court proceeding. And I know you were struck by a car and you have very strong feelings about it. But I don't want you disrespecting me. I'm in here trying to do the best job I can. Go ahead.
I would just like to apologize for all of it. Truly never meant for it to happen. Sorry for any grief I've caused her family or her.
Miss Van, if you think you can keep it together, do you want to speak to me? Please come forward. You can have a seat right here. You might be more comfortable.
Sorry for cussing, but I do not believe in his apology.
Say that again.
I don't believe in his apology.
Well, I guess you don't have to, but he did state it. We got a Led Zeppelin fan and a police fan here. Rock and roll morning. What would you like me to know?
I have a statement, but I'm also requesting things. I'm not saying that they can be possible, but I'm also requesting some things to be done.
All right, well, let me hear your statement and what you want me to know.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Van. I was a pedestrian versus car. I sustained 2 fractured bones below the right knee, a ripped soleus muscle. My C5, C6 disc was collapsed and had to be fused. And I had a herniated disc in my lower back and the never-ending fear of getting hit. So when Edwin stated that I walked into his car, it was far from the truth. Edwin has trouble telling the truth. I believe from his past record and his present record, he refuses to obey the law. He still continues to drink alcohol and drive on a suspended license. He cares about no one but himself. He hit me with his car and left me. He talked his girlfriend into filing a false police report so he wouldn't go to jail. I am asking the court to hold him at the max jail time that is possible for this. I'm also asking for probation time and alcohol monitoring if allowed. I also believe this shouldn't be offered work release. He should go to jail and lose everything like I have, my job and all.
Well, I'll let you finish and then I've got some questions.
When Edwin hit me, I was a sole income from my home. I have 4 children and a disabled husband. I have now been fired from American Axle because I was unable to return to work after surgery. I have lost my medical insurance and
Emma,
this is still affecting me to this day. I still have pain in my knees and my legs and my neck. Please do not Please do not be lenient when you go to sentence him today.
Now, the first I was aware that you had lost your job was when Mr. Knopfinger said it. I was not aware that you'd lost your job at American Axle. Tell me about that.
So they wanted me to return to work back July 25th. And I was unable to return to work because I had to have my neck fused. So I was fired August 17th.
All right, I wasn't aware of that. Now, I'm no doctor. All right, well, what else did you want included?
What do you mean?
You said there were some other things you would request that.
I'm requesting that if there is possible for probation time after jail, I'm requesting that. I'm requesting alcohol monitoring if it's allowed. I'm requesting that he doesn't have work release. He shouldn't have these extra things that I wasn't allowed to have.
I can't do both. I can't give him the maximum jail sentence and probation. There's nothing else I can do to him after that.
I'm so confused because I talked to the prosecutor, and yet today we don't have a prosecutor to stand here with me with what he has said at the last trial.
Well,
because he's the one that brought up that he could possibly get probation after jail time, and we could possibly ask for alcohol monitoring because this is how this situation became.
All right.
Diabetic, he doesn't drink.
Stop. You'll be in the same boat. All right. Let's back up. This was authorized by Chief Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Joshua Robert. He charged it as leaving the scene of a personal injury accident and driving suspended. I have a long-standing frustration in personal injury accident cases where I don't know if they have all the information they need at the time of the charging. It is a felony to leave the scene of a serious personal injury accident when you have a suspended driver's license, punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment. So he wasn't charged with that, but he doesn't have a suspended driver's license.
It was revoked. He's got a revoked
He
suspended
has
driver's license.
no license.
It was taken away because of 2 DUIs and hitting a structure before me.
Well, you're aware of that. I'm aware of it because I was here in 1997 and 1999. He had 2 drunk drivings and another charge, fleeing and eluding. But they were almost 30 years ago. So his driving record doesn't even show it. His driving record shows he has no license. It does not show that he's suspended or revoked. And so it was charged as that, but I looked carefully at his driver's license. There's actually nothing on it. That stuff is so old, it doesn't show up on his driver's license. So what the SOS shows is he has no license, which is different than suspended or revoked. All right. There's also an offense for leaving the scene of a serious personal injury accident, which is also a 5-year felony. And I guess no one bothered to find out what the extent of your injuries were. I've had 6, 7 cases like this, and I don't know where the blame lies. I think sometimes the prosecutors don't know what they don't know. I don't have what he had back on February 7th or whenever this was authorized. But I believe what you have is a serious injury. So I want to shout this
in my neck for the rest of my life.
Yeah, well, it certainly qualifies. Driving suspended with a personal injury accident serious personal injury accident is a felony. We got thousands of people driving around with a suspended driver's license. He arguably, his defense is it wasn't suspended, it was just not existent. But
Either way, he didn't have a driver's license. He shouldn't have been behind the wheel.
I don't disagree at all. So then he left the scene. A serious personal injury is a loss of limb or loss of a foot, loss of limb or loss of use of a limb, loss of hand, foot, loss of eye, ear.
I've lost.
Stop. Substantial impairment of a bodily function. You certainly have that.
I've lost motion in my neck because my neck had to be fused.
Yes. So this certainly qualifies as a serious personal
She ran into the building.
Stop. So this qualifies under what standard we use. You have enough medical evidence to establish substantial impairment of a bodily function. But do you believe he ran over you on purpose?
I believe he ran over me on purpose because he was drinking.
There's absolutely no evidence.
He tested positive for alcohol still 3.5 hours after the accident when he blew in a breathalyzer test.
No, I'm not aware of that. Can you?
You can call
Stop.
Officer Fuller done a breathalyzer test when they finally decided to quit hiding from the sheriffs.
All right. What do you know about that? I was not aware of any blood alcohol.
Nothing that isn't beyond the.
He blew a 0.03 is what he blew 3.5 hours later after hitting me.
How do you know that?
Officer Fuller? He was the investigating officer on the case. He said he couldn't prove that he was drinking and driving because he wasn't able to see him at the scene of the accident, but he was still testing positive for alcohol. He admitted in the...
All right, well, so let me back up a little bit. So you believe he hit you on purpose?
Because he was drinking, yes.
So he said, oh, I think I'll run over this lady.
No, I don't think he sat there and said, hey, I'm mad at Kim, let's run her over. But I believe he intentionally hit me because he decided to drink that day.
All right. There's a legal distinction. I don't believe he hit you on purpose. I believe this is an accident.
And I wasn't drinking that day.
All right. Well, there's no evidence other than what she said, and that's rank hearsay.
It's in the police record.
It's not in the one I have. I'm looking at the booking sheet, but I don't think he got booked that day. And certainly the prosecutor would have access to it. At a disadvantage because I don't have any input from the prosecutor. Either the one that authorized it or the one that took the plea or the one that was elected to the office. But anyway, I do not believe he intentionally ran over you in the parking lot. I believe he knew he wasn't supposed to be driving because he hasn't had a license for 30 years and he panicked and he took off. And then there was a bunch of rigmarole before they finally caught up with him. If he was drinking, there certainly isn't enough evidence to charge any drinking driving. So he did not intentionally hit you. This falls under the category of a moving violation causing death. It's the same kind of case. Fortunately, you didn't die. You're here and you have debilitating injuries. And there was a civil case, which there often is. And there was some sort of settlement. I don't need to know what it was. But there's criminal liability and civil liability. The civil case was settled. I don't know if American Axle was a party of it or it's just your insurance and his insurance. I don't know. But I've said this multiple times. I've been on the bench now for about 22 years. And every 2 years, when new judges are elected, a partner judge and I teach new judge school. And the topic we teach is district court sentencing. I think I've done it 6 times, 7 times, so either 12 or 14 years. So every 2 years, I have a new batch of newly elected district judges, and I spend a day and we teach sentencing. Now, some of it's easy. Driving suspended, drinking, driving, shoplifting. The hardest cases a district judge does are vehicular accident and homicide cases, bar none. Now, my partner is from Farmington Hills. He's never had one. I have about 6 a year. I have a terrible case right now where a young woman was driving down US 12 and she's been charged with killing 2 people. She has no criminal record whatsoever. She's never been in trouble. She allegedly had a traffic violation, either driving too fast or crossing the center line, and she killed 2 people. I had a situation with a young boy who was a student here in Centerville, and he hit a man and killed him. They were out doing solicitations for a newspaper for FFA, going to farm supply stores and other things. No alcohol, no speeding, no nothing. He just made a mistake and hit this man and killed him. His wife sat where you are. She was Romanian. She didn't have great English, pretty good. Her husband died. She lost everything. She lost her sole provider. She lost the person that paid all the bills. She lost the person that did everything around the house. Talk about turning her life upside down, as opposed to this high school senior who crossed the center line and killed her. I could tell you about 6 or 10 more stories like that. Anyway, they're very hard. What's the answer? What do you do in a case like that? I had a young girl who was talking on the telephone, blew a red light, hit a young woman that's crossing the street. There is no exact right answer. You want him to go to jail for the maximum amount of time. You want him to lose his job. You want him to be on probation and alcohol monitoring. And none of that is going to fix your injuries. He had an accident and then he panicked and left. The prosecutor, under 2 different theories, I suppose, could have charged this as a felony. They chose not to, and they know more about it than I do. So it's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor. And the way it's charged, it is a district court misdemeanor. There is another misdemeanor, accident, traffic violation with serious personal injury. So they never explored the extent of your injury, which was serious. Now he contends you ran back into the shop, and maybe you did. And then,
I had help by
all right, well,
coworker.
nonetheless, sometimes it takes a minute. Your body's full of adrenaline. You're in shock, but I don't dispute the fact that you're debilitated. I am sorry that you lost your job. It doesn't seem as straightforward as that. If your doctor said, were you cleared by your doctor to go back to work?
No, I had a work note stating that I was supposed to be off of work because I had surgery. I wasn't supposed to return to work until the 29th of this month.
Well,
That's still in litigation.
all right. Does the union fighting that with the?
Nope, the union's not helping me at all.
But there is a action against.
There's an action against American Axle now.
For wrongful discharge.
Correct.
Okay, so that's not completely a foreclosed issue.
No,
Okay.
This is an ongoing issue.
All right.
But I
So
wouldn't have lost my job if I wouldn't have gotten hit by a car. And I was the sole income for my family.
I accept that. Similar to the lady that lost her husband. So as far as I can tell, Mr. Smith hasn't been in trouble in about 25 years. I was prosecutor in 1997 and 1999. I became judge in 2003, and I haven't seen him once since I came to the bench. So he has a job at American Axle. He has a family. He has expenses. And he did a dumb thing with a serious consequence. The prosecutor makes the charge, the judge makes the sentence. And this charge is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 93 days in jail.
How many?
Let me make sure I got it right. Maybe this is a 1 year. I'll make sure I got my complaint right. Yeah, 1 year and or $1,000 personal injury accident. So even if they had charged serious injury personal accident, well, if they charged serious injury personal accident, it would be a felony. If they had charged driving suspended with a serious personal injury accident, it would be a felony. Wasn't charged that way, so it's a punishable by up to a year in jail. Now, one of the reasons for the leaving the scene crime is, I've seen this, people are in an accident, they leave the scene and they leave the person there on the side of the road.
He left me. He just decided to say a comment before he left.
All right, we'll hear about that in a minute. But he left you there in a public place where there are other people around. So he didn't leave you laying in a ditch bleeding. He knew there was going to be some response. And at that point, he didn't know the extent of your injuries. He knew that, his version is you ran into his car. His version is,
So when I
your
was
version
coming
is-
off the hood of his car, I walked into it.
yeah.
You never even knocked the dust.
All right,
off.
all right, stop. All right, so you wanted to tell me something else.
Just go ahead.
Well, you were going to say one more thing. All right. Nothing I say here is going to make you satisfied.
No,
Nothing
I
I
don't
say
expect you
here
to
is-
make me satisfied at all.
Say that again.
I don't expect you to make me satisfied at all. A year in jail is pretty much a slap on the hand. But for him to sit in here, and this is a game for him, is a joke. Yeah, really. No, ma'am.
Stop. You're not helping things at all. And neither are you. I can't make you happy and I can't make you remorseful. And other than what you said here, your version is that, I don't know, I wasn't there. Usually they'd have some video, but I don't believe there's any video of this. It would have been helpful maybe for all concerned if there'd been some video in the parking lot to show exactly what happened.
HR done their own investigation, and he admitted to HR that I was on the hood of his car.
All right, I
Because
accept
there
it.
is a video, I should
Is
say. The accident is out of frame.
Yes, that's what I understood.
Yes. So that
We didn't actually see what happened.
No.
Yes. All right. There is no right answer to this. In fact, I'm going to use this as a fact scenario at our next judicial training in January. I am gonna do a 12-month probation. And he isn't gonna use any alcohol or any controlled
So
substance.
he's not even going to jail for this?
Stop.
I'm just asking a
I'm
question.
doing the sentencing. Stop.
This is.
He's not in charge of this, I am. And no matter what I say here, you're not gonna be satisfied with it, so I might as
No, I'd
well.
like him to go to jail.
Yes, I certainly understand that. In fact, you're so angry that you undermine your effectiveness because nothing that would be done here would satisfy you. So you're so angry. You've been angry at everybody. You've been angry at the prosecutors. You've been angry at me. You've
I'm
been
not angry
at
at
the
the
victim
prosecutor.
advocate
He's
people.
not here.
Well, I'm not very happy about that either, but I saw some exchanges between you and the prosecutor. You're so angry that you're unreasonable and it undermines your effectiveness. I'll just leave it at that. No alcohol. Test as directed by a police officer or probation officer. No drugs, including marijuana. I don't know if you use marijuana, it's eligible for recreational use, but you can't use that. No driving. You don't have a driver's license. You'll have a very difficult time getting your driver's license, particularly after this. You might as well accept the fact that you'll probably never have a driver's license. Those 2 old drinking driving offenses, the Driver License Appeal Division, the Secretary of State have an even longer memory than I do. And so you would have to prove to them that you're eligible to get a license back with a restriction. So you may have been able to do that, but you throw this leaving the scene into the mix and you're just out of chances. The fine is 0. There's no need for a court fine. I'm going to order 10 days jail to be served either on weekends or work release. I'm not going to make you lose your job.
Thank you.
$75 crime victims' rights fee, $50 state minimum fee, $150 attorney fee.
Judgment's retained.
Okay, I think you told me that. Thank you, Luke. And a $480 probation oversight fee. Go get her. Please come up and have a seat.
Whatever you want.
All right, you want to curse at me a little more? Is there anything else you have to say? All right, you should just go now. You're good to go.
No, this is bullshit.
All right, come here. I find that you're in contempt of court and you're going to jail for 24 hours, effective right now. Yes, really. Officer, I'd please ask you to take her into the back. Don't look at Mr. Reed. You did this to yourself. You're going to jail for 24 hours for your continuing disrespect. I am sorry about everything that happened to you in the course of this accident, but I gave you a chance to just leave and then.
Can she report to us? She's a full private kid and one of them can take her.
She can go to jail right now.
I mean,
I went out of my way to try to not do this, and You don't have to like it, but you have to be respectful, and you went out of your way to be not respectful. She can go to jail right now. 24 hours, you're found to be in contempt.
Can you get
Take
my keys, my
her
car?
out of here.
All right, you ain't gonna get me, I'm going with you.
You're not following directions.
I didn't know which way to
She
go.
has a fused neck, and he's grabbing her by the neck.
Yes,
They're
yes,
around.
yes, yes.
The one civil liability they have.
All right, I'm sorry. I want you to report down to the probation department. I took it as far as I could take it. You've got 10 days to do. You can choose to do it all at once or do it on weekends or even work release, but I think weekends would be most effective. No driving. If you complete this within 6 months, you could be discharged early. Ross, you may want to go help him. We need to get her out there where she can be properly cared for. All right, that completes the record on this matter. I'll give you this referral down to probation.
Put it to the probation and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
It's not funny, Luke.
No, it's not funny at all. I take
You
no
were laughing.
joy in
Was I
this.
laughing? Yeah.
All right, just everybody calm down and go on about your business. It's not funny at all. We're still on the record on my feed.
You offer that?
We're going to make a brief record after this with Mr. Truckee. We're going to adjourn our 11 o'clock sentence on Tia.
Oh. Box around here. Man. It used to be a key did all that and you had to pull it out so it can I think the bailiff had the referral. You go to. Okay, Jeremy has it.
All right, we return to the record. This is a special record. In regard, yeah. Thank you.
We need
Got
red
it
light.
this time.
There it is.
Wow, there it goes. A special record regarding the contempt finding I just made regarding the complaining witness in the last case. Mr. Timothy Reed is here. He represents that contempt defendant in a civil matter, which we discussed in the matter of the sentencing of the last case. And that was in the sentence of Edwin Otto Smith. The defendant was quite animated. I warned her at the beginning of the proceedings for cursing in the courtroom because she didn't like what was being said.
I can't reach up to my face.
She had two other outbursts, both on the way out of the courtroom. I brought her back in and she said, okay, I'm good. I said, you should please just go. Then she gave me one more, this is bullshit, on the way out the door. So I found her in contempt and gave her 24 hours in jail. We just had a session on contempt at the district judges conference in August, very good one. I believe I'm within my parameters to find contempt in this proceeding. But Mr. Reed has indicated he's going to file a request for an emergency stay of my contempt ruling and ask for the chief judge, who would be Judge Pattison, to rule on this. And so he wants transcripts and have an opportunity for another judge to review the videos. So I'm willing to allow that. I certainly am not oblivious to the fact that you have a serious injury as a result of this, and there's been a lot of consequence to you. But you're using your victim as a weapon. And one of the people you're wielding your weapon on was me. So you don't have to like my ruling, but you can share your opinion later outside my presence without, you can swear all you want when you get home. Can't do it to me. So anyway, I'm going to stay my contempt finding. Mr. Reed is going to
I'll file an official appearance, Your Honor, and request for hearing.
it's going to be, it needs a caption, so it will be contempt in the matter of Edwin Otto Smith.
And utilize that ST number as the case number?
Yes.
Okay, that will be fine.
All right. So you're free to go.
Yeah, he'll knock you. I'll take you out. We'll talk. I'll explain exactly what's going on. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll have that filed in today.
All right.
I've got, do you have your keys, you said, Kim?
No, they have.
Okay, well, we'll get it out in the hallway, so I'll meet them out by the bailiff's thing. We'll go in the office and meet. Hold on 1 second, then he's gonna get the band off the back there. And then, so. I'm glad, because I wasn't exactly sure how to caption it, because that is one of those, but that makes it, so that, I think for record purposes, it makes it easier.
We'll be able to track it. And the record is all in the context of that.
So when I
case.
request a transcript, it'll be that case number that they get swatched from.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I'll give you a call later to talk about that case, okay? See ya.
All right. The next matter we're going to address is, it's actually been taken off the docket. Tia Jo Brooks was set for domestic violence today. Again, we don't have prosecutor input. Mr. Ross Truckee is here. Mr. Truckee, we can simply say you're asking me to adjourn this because defendant is receiving medical treatment.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All
And I've
right.
verified her placement through telephone contact. She is in fact,
How long of an adjournment do you want?
she expects to be released within 10 days. I know she would like to keep this case moving. This is a planned deferral. So around 10 days, I think should be sufficient.
Well, let's see where I've got you set.
You on the morning of the 20th. But I guess everybody else probably is too.
Morning of the 20th of what?
I have attorney pretrials.
Oh, Well, that's Judge P's day. Let's see what I got. I have a full landlord-tenant docket.
You're on a PEC on the 24th. It's just the one. I don't know if that's your day.
I can do it on the 24th. Let's say 9 o'clock on September 24th.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, thank you.
Is that it for your morning?
Yeah, that's, we ended with a bang or a thud. Yes, that's it for my morning.
When I was referee, that was the hardest part, was maintaining order and knowing that, of course, people were upset, but that, I always really struggled with that.
I don't do it a lot. In fact, we just had a session on contempt and they said, take a breath, count to 100. So I let her go the first time and then she bullshitted me on the way out. And then I came back in to not find her in contempt. And then she did it again.
I'll expect my subpoena from TJ.
Oh boy. And two things I said are correct. She is not going to be satisfied and she uses her victim as a weapon.
My conversations with Mr. Knopfinger about, consults on that case. I know it's been
and I don't,
scary.
They could have charged it as a felony. They didn't. And, it's like she didn't do anything to endear herself to them. She was fuck you with Dave Marvin and the bailiffs and the victim witness staff. And so, Mr. Marvin wasn't going to go out of his way, although it would have been helpful if someone from the prosecutor's office had shown up.
No, that's recurring fee.
Yes, but according to TJ, they're paying Jim McWheel $3,000 a week to be a special prosecutor. Seemed like he could have come in for this. Anyway, thank you, Ross.
Victims upstairs, and they were victims of juveniles like larcenies, and they would just want hands cut off. That victim impact opening.
Well, I am going to use this as an example for judge sentencing.
Where you have a victim that wants execution and nothing else will satisfy them.
Now, it did surprise me that he had alcohol in his system because I didn't see that anywhere. And I'm not saying she wasn't being truthful, but I guess I better make some notes in that case.
Well, have a good lunch. How about that?
Thank
Stay
you.
for a walk around the building.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the afternoon.
I have Sheila May,
Thank you.
303 Middle Street.
We're gonna be here in person on that.
Well, Tab scheduled employee interviews at 2. I don't know
We'll be
how
done.
will be done in half an hour.
So I was gonna tell, that's when I came back in here, is we're at 1:30. I talked to Ms. May, we've been in contact. She's gonna be here today in person at 1:30. We may have a resolution that is going to fix all of these issues. And so, but I wanted you to be aware that we'll be here today.
All right, good.
So,
I had a guy this morning, this is off topic, but I know you're in. He had what appeared to me to be a valid international driver's license.
okay.
So let's just say he had a valid international driver's license. He made the mistake of speeding through Mendon. So he got a ticket, 40 and a 35, and a no ops ever acquired.
Where's he from?
Guatemala. And I got Andy on there, and Andy agreed to dismiss the driving suspended for a plea to the no ops for a plea to speeding. But I think that the international driver's license is
So I
valid.
gotta remember, because I forgive me, I don't have it ready. Is there's no such thing as an international driver's license. If you have to have a valid.
It institutionalizes Guatemalan license.
Correct. You have to have a valid license from another jurisdiction that's subject to the treaty or whatever. And there's a
And
name.
which it is.
You know, the treaty.
So I said, I'm not telling you you're not going to get this ticket again.
Right.
Keep this with you and plead
Correct.
not guilty. But I've only seen one before, that guy from India.
And it came in like
It
They look pretty
looks like a
legit.
passport.
and they have like paper,
And it's got, if it's a fake, it's a very good one. It had the holographic stuff. It's your friend, Mr. Reedstra. So I think he's trying to get documented people and get, he's probably driving for it.
Well, I mean, my guess is insurance requires some type of documentation if they're driving any of his vehicles.
So I think that it was valid. I guess if he gets another one, anyway, Andy agreed to
Well,
dismiss
through
it.
your district court stuff, if you could find somebody at SOS or otherwise to give a training on that topic of international driver's licenses and how, in a method in which to determine validity.
That would be a good thing for the district judges association.
Right, because, I mean, that's where the district court is where you're gonna see them all the time.
Yes.
That's what
Well, otherwise, what's the purpose of having an otherwise it's meaningless.
Correct. And I think we see more of the
The
fraudulent issues.
research I did on the Indian guy led me to believe it was valid, although he had failed to dot one I or cross one T or something.
Because he was originally from New York, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a truck driver and had some, I remember that case. That was a unique situation. But it would be helpful for the cities to know, okay, or PACAPAM, if they would put something on regarding this is how you determine, here's resources that we have. I mean, right now.
PACAPAM might have something. When Melissa was a defense attorney, she would say, well, I don't think this is valid. I said, well, then why don't you write me a brief on it?
Yeah.
Of course, she never did. That's like, well, I looked at this on the internet, and so it's never been definitive. But in my opinion, the international driver's license would give him the authority to drive if he had a valid Guatemalan license.
So I've seen some Mexican licenses that weren't from Mexico, the different provinces there, that had a QR code that would scan, and it took you to that jurisdiction's thing and had and now if that's a fake, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
QR code it into their system, and it actually showed some validity.
Well, that's an even harder question. I'm licensed in Jalisco. I'm in Michigan. I'm driving. All right, where's the line? Is it 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months?
And that's where we get a lot. It's like, well, how long have you been here? I've been here a year and a half. Okay, well, at some point you have to and you've been living here, you have to get a Michigan license. And I think just because you get an international driver's license doesn't solve the problem, are you here legally? Because you could cross the border with an international license that you obtained while in Guatemala.
Well, the rule says if you're not here legally,
Right.
it doesn't affect, unless you're a treaty country.
Right.
So if you're from a non-treaty country and you're here illegally, nothing matters.
Right.
But if you're on a treaty country and you're here illegally, you're right, it would be a great topic for a training.
Because it's something that, I mean, I don't take it lightly if you're charging somebody and they seem to have what appears to be valid documents. And if they're valid, you don't want to charge them or have them convicted of something that they shouldn't be.
Well, I was going to suggest a session on how to read a driver's license, driving record.
That's a lost art.
It sure is. We had a judge, his name is Judge Meineke. He's from Detroit area, and he runs what he calls a driver restoration court or something. He tries to help people get their license back.
Okay.
And he says he's helped 1,700 people. But, you know, if we count ours, we adjourn this, go get your license, and we'll give you a 257, 326. We've got hundreds of those ourselves, but he puts them on probation for like 2 years and makes them go get, anyway, he was showing driving records on the screen and says, this means this, and this means this. You're right, reading a driving record is a lost art. Plus, the rules have changed.
Yeah.
I used to understand it real well. This little mark means this. This little mark, so I'm gonna suggest that we have a session on reading a driving record and understanding foreign driving
Yeah,
privileges.
I know that, last year at the Michigan Association of Municipal Attorneys, there was an attorney there that has a nonprofit, ran some stuff that assisted in Detroit, probably Judge Monaco's court, on getting people their driver's licenses and state IDs back. Now, I talked to them after the session, and of course, they don't have the undocumented issue that we have here. Theirs is mostly poverty,
Yes,
unable to get a birth certificate, unable to get the 3 pieces of identification. You know,
it's all that.
those types of issues, which is a little bit more workable if you can get them established, get them set up somewhere with a library card or some other types of identification. But here, it's like, well, I mean, you're just out of luck. You're here illegally. You have no ability. You're never going to get it.
Yes.
So I think some of ours are workable. Other ones are just going to be in that trap that you're never going to get a license. But, well, I will see you at about 1:20.
Okay. No, 1. Yeah, 1:30. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.